I don't think this is really a story about a cat, although it certainly looks like one at first. This week, Larry, the famous Downing Street cat, wandered out of number 10 while Britain's new Prime Minister was holding his first cabinet meeting. And before the politicians had even finished introducing themselves, Larry had already caught a mouse. It was one of those wonderfully British moments where the country's most photographed civil servant wasn't wearing a suit at all, and somehow a cat carrying a mouse became one of the defining images of a new government. Larry has now seen 6 prime ministers come and go, while he simply carries on doing what Larry has always done. He patrols, he sleeps. He ignores journalists until it suits him, and every few years another politician arrives through that famous black door convinced they're beginning a new chapter, while Larry barely seems to notice the change. Now here's what caught my attention, because I don't think millions of people smile when they see Larry because he's an extraordinary cat. There are extraordinary cats everywhere. What fascinates us is something much deeper. Larry represents one of the rarest things in modern life: continuity. Think about how much has changed since Larry first arrived at number 10. Different prime ministers, different governments, elections, referendums, financial crises, international crises, countless headlines telling us the world has changed forever. Yet every few years the cameras appear outside Downing Street again, and there he is, sitting exactly where he always sits, almost as if he's quietly reminding us that not everything changes at the same speed. I've been wondering whether that's really what we're responding to. Maybe Larry isn't famous because he's a cat. Maybe he's famous because he's a constant. The funny thing is that human beings seem to have a strange relationship with constants. We say we love change, we celebrate innovation, we chase the next new thing, and yet some part of us seems to relax whenever we discover something that has quietly remained the same. It might be the old cafe that's still on the corner after 30 years. The pub where everybody still knows each other. The park bench where an elderly couple have sat every Sunday for as long as anyone can remember. Those places don't simply survive the passing of time. They anchor us to it. And perhaps that's why Larry has become something much bigger than the official chief mouser. He's become a symbol, although I suspect he couldn't care less about symbolism. While politicians argue about the future, Larry's attention is on the mouse in front of him. While journalists speculate about who's rising and who's falling, Larry is wondering whether lunch might arrive soon. There is something wonderfully honest about that. That made me ask a different question. Why do human beings turn ordinary things into symbols? Because we do it all the time. A wedding ring is just a piece of metal until it becomes a marriage. A football shirt is just fabric until it becomes identity. And perhaps Larry stopped being just a cat years ago. Perhaps he quietly became a symbol of institutional memory, of continuity, of the strange comfort that comes from knowing at least one resident of number 10 isn't worried about opinion polls. Here's something worth noticing today. Whenever the world seems to be changing very quickly, people don't just look for new leaders. They also look for familiar landmarks, something that reassures them they're still standing in recognizable territory. Sometimes it's a building, sometimes it's a tradition, and sometimes, rather unexpectedly, it's an elderly tabby cat wandering across Downing Street, as if the whole business of politics is mildly inconvenient. Maybe that's the real story here. Governments come and go, headlines arrive and disappear. Politicians make promises, break promises, win elections and lose them. But somewhere outside number 10, there's still a cat who has absolutely no interest in any of it, because from Larry's point of view there are only 2 important questions. Is there a mouse? And is it nearly dinner time? And perhaps there's a lesson hidden in that. The world is always trying to pull our attention towards the loudest story of the day, but sometimes the most revealing story is the quiet one sitting just outside the frame, reminding us that while everything appears to be changing, some things endure. Until next time, keep noticing.